Everyone, it's Dr. Hillary from Rangeline Chiropractic. I am here with our guest, Nicole. She is from Re317. She is going to talk to us about recycle and composting in this business of Re317. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, how's it going?
This is a great day.
Yes.
Tell us about your business and what started this, because I just met you recently and I was like, this is amazing business.
Yeah, so it is a curbside composting service. And so what that means is that I give you a 5-gallon bin and you fill it up with compostables. So like your food waste, like fruit, vegetables, bread, napkins, just a whole bunch of stuff, right, that can be recycled and turned back into basically soil. And so I give you that bin, I give you instructions on, what can go in there. And I am accessible pretty much, 24/7. So if you have questions, but yeah, I started this in September. I just really wanted to find a way to help our community live greener in an easier way. And so, yeah, we are in Westfield, Carmel. We just launched in Fishers and soon we'll be in Noblesville too.
Nice, exciting.
Yeah.
So it's been almost a year.
Almost, yes.
I love that you started the business. Why did you decide, like, you saw a need? Because obviously, I mean, I haven't heard about this before from any other company. So you saw a need and you're just like, all right, I'm going to start a business.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been composting on my own for my own family for, many years. And it can be tedious when you're doing it on your own, right? So we have like HOAs who don't let composting happen in neighborhoods. When you do it on your own, you kind of have to get all the right ingredients in there for it to actually turn into compost. Whereas with my service, you don't have to worry about getting the right brown to green ratio, as we like to call it. You don't have to cut things up. You don't have to go turn it. You don't have to worry about rodents or the smell. I take care of all of that. So really, I just saw a need for sustainable living and making it easy, because a lot of people want to do it. But it takes time and work. So I help them with that time and work.
Well, and I think it's great to educate the kids too, like make it a family event of like doing this so that we can teach our kids why we need to do it and how, even if maybe we don't have the time or the availability to do it in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely. So both of my kids know what goes into the compost. They've known since I think they were 2, because it just becomes a habit. But exactly to your point, I teach kids in the community too, or actually anyone, adults can learn. But I've done several events with our local Girl Scouts and local elementary school green teams, just teaching them, what is composting? How do you do it? Why do you do it? And it's amazing what the kids already know and how interested they are in actually helping the environment. So it's inspiring, actually.
Yeah, that it sounds, like a lot of fun. I know that I personally attempted it as I had a first child, and it's the time that is involved in knowing the ratios. And when you're already half asleep anyways from having a baby, like I could see why this program would be so much better than doing it on your own. You would feel like you're doing right by the environment. You'd probably be more watchful of what you waste, right? And just knowing that you would be there to pick it up and give a fresh bucket every time. What
Yeah.
do you do with this stuff once you get it?
So when I get it, I do a small scale composting on my own. So I have some land in Hamilton County where I do a limited amount of composting. When we start talking about larger volumes and, it becomes too much for me to handle, it will go to a local industrial composter and they do the same thing. I mean, it's the same process, just, mixing it with the right things, turning it and waiting for it to turn back into soil. So.
What would be some things that compost that people wouldn't think that they could put in? Like, for instance, you mentioned napkin. I wouldn't have thought about a napkin being able to be added into that. What else is like something unique in there?
Yeah, so I actually just had a customer text me the other day asking about those disposable chopsticks. So, like when you get Chinese takeout and they're in the little paper sleeves, you have to rip them apart. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for wood. So
That's true.
composted. So just tossed them in, and even the sleeve can be composted because it's paper.
Mm-hmm.
I have customers who have shredded like printer paper, their confidential documents,
Mm-hmm.
and actually recycling doesn't take that. You need to go to one of those special events. So shredded paper. I have customers who get those paper grocery bags and fill them with their shredded paper, and I pick that up with their bin of food waste. There are a lot of things. The list is actually surprisingly long, and it's not just in the kitchen. Toilet paper rolls. I mean, it is a long list of things that we can keep out of landfills and turn back into soil. So
Mm-hmm.
you'd be surprised.
I think I used to throw in like eggshells and coffee grounds too, correct?
Yeah, coffee grounds in the paper filter,
Mm-hmm.
um, tea bags. Yeah, you name it. I mean, pretty much the general rule of thumb is that if it came from the ground, if it was grown from the ground, it can go back into compost. I say that with an asterisk.
I know, like possibly everything.
Yeah.
Well, if
Yeah.
anyone listening has any questions for Nicole, type them below and I'll see them on our end. We'll answer any questions. I'll think of some more good questions too while we wait. What would be some things that you've seen people put in the bucket that you're like, no, that's not going to work?
Yeah. So the top three things I do not take are meat and bones, oil, and dairy. Those are probably common ones. But what I've seen an influx of are compostable, I guess, packaging, if you will. So that
Mm-hmm.
with the whole environmental movement, a lot of people are labeling their items as compostable or biodegradable. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of confusion out there. And so I help my customers with that. We figure out what can go in and what can't go in, because unfortunately, just because it says compostable doesn't always mean it really is. There's some greenwashing happening. But I'll be honest, my customers are awesome. They are always trying to find any little thing they can put in there. I had another customer email me yesterday asking me about 100% cotton balls and Q-tips with paper sticks. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, those things can go in there, but yeah, those non-compostables, they've been doing a great job just making sure that those stay out when they're supposed to and getting the right things in there. So,
Nice.
yeah.
On the land, when you have everything in there and you're turning it, you're adding things, it's creating better soil, correct?
So yeah, so when I say soil, compost is an amendment to soil. So
Okay.
think of your most natural way to fertilize soil and help it. So beneath our ground is an entire ecosystem. You think about like worms, roly-polies, and all the microbes that you can't see. There's an entire world down there, and compost helps that world survive. It helps that world survive. It helps filter rainwater that's unhealthy soil usually can't do on its own.
Okay.
It helps capture carbon. So when we talk about, global warming and the um, depletion of the ozone, a lot of that carbon is captured back into the soil when we compost. And also when we compost, it keeps the methane out. So for example, when you take your food waste and you send it to the landfill, you can send a head of lettuce. Do you know how long it takes for that lettuce to break down in a landfill?
No, I would think not very long, but I'm gonna guess three
Guess.
months. 3 months.
It can take up to 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And lettuce is not supposed to take that long to decompose. So when you send it to composting, it
Mm-hmm.
breaks naturally in what, a week, 2 weeks. So that's just another thing. Another reason to compost is it helps keep that food out of the landfills, creating like the methane that really hurts our air quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
If you're interested, I do not articulate it as well as a documentary you can catch on Netflix called Kiss the Ground. So
Oh,
they
okay.
did it much better than I can with a lot more facts, but you should check it out. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, I love those type of documentaries. Kiss the Ground on Netflix. Okay,
Yep, check it out.
nice. All right, while we have a couple more minutes, tell me about someone listening that would want to start service with you, how would they find you? What are costs and when pickups are, things like that, like the details.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on the internet. It's re317.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram under re317. But basically, you just go on the website, you fill out the form. I send you an email with the details on, next steps. So when your bin's going to be delivered and your pickup day. But the two services that I offer currently are curbside pickup. So I come to your home and I, empty your bin or swap it depending on the service level you sign up for. But I have a DIY, if you will. It's $20 a month where I empty your bin as much as I can and you rinse it out yourself. And then more of a full service where I clean your bin for you every single time. So you get a clean bin and you don't have to deal with rinsing it. All our bins are dedicated to your household. So you will never get a bin that someone else has used. And then there are just other things. So seasonal pickups, Christmas trees, pumpkins, yard leaves. I take that depending on what service level you sign up with. I plant a tree on your anniversary. Yeah, and soon I'll have more perks in the works, but that's basically the gist when it comes to composting.
I caught that, Nicole. Perks in the works. Just so you know.
Yeah.
You offer a lot and more than I knew from our first meeting. So that is amazing. Thank you. We'll make sure that we put some links under this. That way people can quickly access you. Robin said, hi. Hi, Robin. She's watching. Any questions last minute from anyone? Robin, if you have any questions, feel free to post it and we can even come back later and look at and see if we have any questions. But thank you so much, Nicole. This was so great. I like the idea of watching the documentary, going to your website, re317.com. And then I've seen your posts on Instagram at re317. So we'll make sure that we follow you and show much love for all this amazing business that you're doing.
Yeah, awesome. And if anyone has questions about, even troubleshooting your own compost at home, if you need help, seriously reach out to me because I'm just here to help more people compost. Whether it's with me or not, it doesn't matter. I'm here to help. So I'll just let everyone know.
You can tell when you have a passion for composting. So
yeah, sure.
Thank you again for coming on and telling us. And I hope that everyone reaches out to you with any questions and maybe even start, a little spark in them to start their own little home compost in the backyard.
Exactly. Thank you, Hillary.